Have you ever been in a situation where you can't believe something is really happening? Throughout the entire time, you're sitting there trying not to die laughing because this whole thing feels scripted and there's no way that this was a real interaction, but it must have been real because there's no way that everyone else was involved in one elaborate television production just to prank you. Well, in 2023, Amazon released a show where they did this to a real guy by dropping him in the middle of a courtroom sitcom. Jury Duty is one of the most creative and hilarious shows I've ever seen. It's something I've forced like 10 people to watch. With the new season coming out, I want to do my best to convince more people to watch it. So if you want more videos on TV, games, movies, pop culture, feel free to subscribe, like, and hype. And comment any similar shows to Jury Duty and some of your favorite moments from the first season. As a very small creator on this platform, doing any of those things goes a long way. The basic premise of Jury Duty is very simple. It's a show documenting a group of jurors in a civil court case in LA. Everything is scripted. Everyone is an actor, except this one guy who thinks it's all 100% real. Feels like the creators had this mockumentary sitcom and said to themselves, what if the straight man was a real guy who didn't know he was in a mockumentary? It has a lot of the sitcom charm. The cast is very diverse and lovable, and the actors play their parts very well considering they always had to be on. Some of my favorites are Todd, a transhumanist who has a wide variety of gadgets.
Chair pants or chance?
Jasmine and Noah have a fun dynamic with her wanting to corrupt him while he's crashing out because his girlfriend might be cheating on him.
Cody's a girl's name, no?
Cody can be boy or girl.
I have a nephew named
I teach
Cody.
a sophomore named Cody.
The RBI girl,
What's RBI?
Reddit Bureau of Investigations.
Vanessa, crushes it too.
So when I got the summons, I was like, hell yeah, finally. But nah, this case is dumb.
James Marsden plays the douchiest actor guy ever.
I'm a recognizable public figure.
Respectfully, I don't recognize you. I'm sorry, who are you?
That's okay, a lot of people do.
He's playing himself the entire time, and it might be one of my favorite acted characters in the show.
Bummer. If you would have bought it, I would have got $1.
But honestly, the whole cast crushes it. The only characters I didn't like are the ones that you're not supposed to like, but even then, they're all so funny. What elevates all of the performances for me is that they have to stay in character the entire time. Because if one person breaks character in front of Ronald, the real guy, it's over. The whole show is cooked. The entire production only works if he thinks it's all real. I do find there are some times where the illusion falls apart a bit for the audience. There are some lines that the actors have to do to progress the story forward.
All right, never mind. If I put you under oath, you would attest that you are not a racist. Is that correct?
No, I'm not.
And in those moments, at least for me, they felt like actors acting. It kind of feels like seeing actors acting on set or in behind the scenes footage. And in those moments, they really feel like actors.
I got it, bro. Thank you.
I don't know how to explain it. I think it's because they're not acting for our perspective in those moments. They're just segueing it forward so they don't get caught on something for too long, exclusively for Ronald. Which brings me to one thing I've been thinking a lot about with this show. What reality does this show take place in? Weird question, but hear me out. So when you're watching a show like you're invested in the characters, their arcs, and empathize with them despite the fact that they don't exist. Hell, it's all animated. Same thing goes for a live action show like Stranger Things. All shows exist within their own reality that we're peering into and get invested in. Documentaries, while showing our own reality, still exist in their own because we're only seeing what the documentary wants us to see. We cannot see other perspectives, so it still exists in its own separate reality it creates about ours. So what reality does Jury Duty take place in? I think it's important to ask, considering Ronald's perspective is kind of one of the main points of the show. Whenever there's a confessional or scene that Ronald isn't involved in, it feels like a normal show. We're fully in the reality of the fictional court case and the made-up jurors. We're getting to know these characters and interacting with them in ways that we would with any other show. And it is important to do that to help keep the audience invested in this whole thing. And there's a lot that Ronald doesn't see that we do. In all those moments, it feels like a normal show. But when Ronald is around and the veil is removed, we are now witnessing a different reality. It begs the question, how much of the show's identity is pranking Ronald and how much of it is the scripted parts? It's weird having the main subject of a show alter the perspective of its reality for the audience in such a massive way. Jury Duty keeps shifting between being a sitcom and a social experiment, I guess. Like, I get that all this stuff needs to happen to get Ronald invested, and we're seeing it to keep the audience invested. I just really like when he's not around, they don't go mask off in front of the audience. The whole thing gets really meta when you think about the reality that's on screen. That's one of the reasons why I'm drawn to this show so much. I like it when stuff gets meta. And what's more meta than telling someone that the last week of their life has been fully scripted? Between this and the rehearsal, I don't know how The Truman Show isn't my favorite movie of all time. I wonder what it would be like to watch the show without the opening that says that it's all scripted and everyone is in on it but Ronald. It would have been way harder to get people into it because you're throwing away the main selling point of the show. I think that would have been a bigger twist for the audience than The Good Place. You spend almost the entire runtime laughing at this crazy documentary just to find out it's scripted. Then you rewatch it with that context and the show is even funnier. Given that some of the actors have been in some pretty popular things, I think it would have been impossible to convince everyone that this is all real. That's a neat thought experiment of a way to watch the show, but I do think it does ruin it a bit. Like, everything in the show is already amazing. Knowing that Ronald is literally just a dude and everyone around him are actors going through dialogue trees elevates the show and makes it brilliant. The actors do say that they inserted a lot of themselves into the characters, and especially the moments where they're just chilling with Ronald, so a lot of them did form a genuine friendship with him. I believe we didn't see a lot of these moments because it would break the illusion for us a bit. Like, the finale goes through the behind the scenes of the show and it feels completely different from every other episode. It's funny that I've been sitting here thinking about what the reality of the show is when a real human lived through all of these events and thought they were real. Like I said, the finale is basically a behind the scenes of the show, but realistically, it is just them telling the audience how smart this production is. And while they're telling this to Ronald, there's so many moments where he's like, oh damn, that thing was scripted.
So did you actually get hurt?
When they're walking him through it, he knows it was all scripted, but you're seeing him slowly realize, oh my God, it was literally everything.
Are you a real cop? No.
He did say that the show messed him up for a few months, and I fully get it. Like, imagine if the last few weeks of your life were completely scripted and the only organic thing happening in them was your reaction to it. At no point did you ever interact with a fully real human. You only interacted with actors playing a character. Me thinking about what reality the show even exists in is weird enough. If I went through the show, I think it would fuck me up real bad. And I feel like the longer a production like this goes on, the more it would mess up the main subject of it, because that's just more of their life that is now a lie. If this video is your first exposure to the show, you're looking to rewatch season 1, or you're just going to jump right into season 2 as soon as it starts, I want you to do something for me. Engage in the show with its meta text and try tracking what reality it exists in. I think it's fascinating, adds a lot to the show, and really puts you in Ronald's shoes. One thing I think the show deserves the most credit for, outside of the production itself. Seriously, the finale is brilliant. I love seeing behind the curtain and how everything worked. Other than that, it's the fact that the casting department picked the perfect subject for the show. Ronald is the most likable person I've ever seen on a reality TV show, documentary, prank show? I don't know what to call it. My point being, he is the most likable real person ever on a show. The whole thing lives and dies with him. He unknowingly bounces off everybody in such an entertaining way. I think this could only work with such an accepting person. He needs to buy into this whole thing being real and be able to form a genuine connection with actors playing characters. One of the actors was on Community, a show he mentioned really liking to another actor, so they sadly had to cut down his role here so it didn't blow up the whole production. I've heard a lot of people say that they would have recognized him and it would have tipped them off to this whole thing being scripted. For me, it would have failed because I watched a lot of bad movie YouTube in the 2010s, and I immediately clocked one of the lawyers as the reporter from God's Not Dead. The idea of this entire production falling apart because of a really bad Christian movie is so funny to me. But realistically, I don't think I would have saw her IRL and thought, I know her from a bad movie. This whole thing is fake. Most likely me and everyone else who recognized an actor from something else would have thought, oh hey, they look like that one actor. You do have to remember that you don't really expect everything in your life to be fake. So recognizing an actor wouldn't set off as many alarm bells as you think it would. But yeah, Ronald hard carries this show by being so likable and accepting of everything they put him through. Luckily, he didn't psychologically fall apart after filming, because that would make me feel really bad for loving this show. Outside of a few months of going through it, I follow him on Instagram, and if I had to guess, he's doing good. He seems to do a lot of charity work based off of the link in his bio. I'll put the link in the description of this video. My only concern with season 2 is with the new guy they're pranking this time around. I watched the trailer and he does seem likable, and I do love the corporate retreat setting, but his reactions to everything will determine if the show is a success or not. More so with any other show on the planet, I'm worried that they caught lightning in the bottle with the first season and they're not able to replicate it. But I think we'll be fine. No matter what, please go watch this show. The main reason why I didn't go into too much detail on like the characters, all of the bits, and the writing of it in general is because I don't want to spoil this show for anyone. It deserves way more love than it gets, even with the first season being decently popular. I just needed to yell into the ether that everyone needs to go watch this show and that I don't know what reality it takes place in. If you want a more analytical deep dive about the first season, want me to make a video about the second season, or just want to continue the conversation about the show, feel free to leave a comment down below. I really don't know if I can say more. The show is just brilliant. Do you agree? Think I'm an idiot? Comment down below. Like the video if you think they should have done this whole thing to Ronald again for the second season, and subscribe for more content. And do that hype thing, because I still don't have evidence it does anything. Follow me on other platforms if you want. Take care, guys.